Hey everybody, it's Thomas. It's time to talk about this week's Blood Bowl, League of Blood Bowl, what happened, all that fun stuff. We'll start off with some team management. It's very confusing to be looking at my player list and not seeing some sad X's in this column and not see some grayed out names because I don't have any injured players this week. It's a miracle. I got punched out a lot, but nothing significant. That's pretty good for me. Yeah. Definitely a great week for me to not walk away with injured players. I have a couple changes here. I got a level up here on Jason, which was the goal for the week, and didn't roll anything special, so I just gave him dodge. Thought about doing some funnier stuff, but I think dodge, I was thinking about it because Marsha got some SVP here, and I was trying to decide what I was going to do with these blitzers once they hit level 3, which will hopefully happen, which shouldn't be too hard, but I'm trying to figure out what to do with them. Dauntless is what I'm really thinking about because there's so much force strength in this league. Having something that can punch higher would help. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I can get. I could get diving tackle as well just to make sure nothing gets away from them or by them. We'll see how that goes. In terms of other things, William got some more SPP, got an MVP, which was fine. Just fine, I guess. What was MVP last week? I don't remember. I want to say it was this week. But either way, William is up to 15 SPP now. 1 SPP away from getting level 3, so that'll be really easy to get next week, especially with Agility 5. I'll probably be Leap next target for him. Thought about getting Wrestle right away, and I mentioned that in the past, but I think Leap offers me more, and that way I can get him to level 4 faster, which is 31, which is not too many touchdowns or too many throws, but it is a fair number. And just Agility 5 makes Leap so good, so why not? Other changes, I wasn't able to get level 2 on Bunny like I wanted to, but hopefully I can do that this week. I just need 1 more touchdown, so that should be no big deal with a catcher. And I had enough money to buy another thrower, so that is what I did. Build a Shelter. Fantastic episode of The Twilight Zone. As always, you can watch how the game went up here, but let's take a look at the gory details. I got 60k, which is what let me buy the thrower. 4-0 for me, can't complain whatsoever. That's a ton of SPP, obviously. Walking away here with, let's see, 12. This interception went to a loner, so it doesn't really give me much anything. But let's see here, 12, 14, 19, and then 23. So pretty good amount for me. And then Sid walking away with a pretty good number of his own, 3 casualties, 4 passes, 1 interception, which did go to a real player, and the MVP here as well. So that's 10, 15, 17. So pretty good amount there. Only got 6 more than him, which is not too bad considering that I had 4 touchdowns. Pretty good game for me. I mostly just, I got the ball a lot. I was able to score a lot. It's the elf thing to do. I did get bogged down a little bit on the second half because of the interception. It probably would have been a little higher score on my part if I had not thrown so risky. These things happen. A lot more running, obviously, for me this week than normal. More passing from Sid, actually, though. A lot more incomplete passes for him because human throwers, while very good, are not elf throwers. And starting with free agility / free accurate is a little hard. So not as much passing for me this week, but a fair number nonetheless. Obviously got 4. His passes were just a little bit longer. And I held the ball for more, so it makes sense that I would do more running. Still, it's only 27 yards of running per touchdown, so I feel pretty good about the amount of running I didn't do that week. 4 factor, which is great. And again, won enough money to buy the thrower. Targets for team development, not 100% sure. I might get the catcher, 4th catcher, probably the next target. Maybe reroll number 4, but probably not. Linemen are obviously tempting as well. We'll see what I decide to do. We'll see how much money I make next week. Let's take a look at how Sid did. Sid walking away with 70k thanks to fame and rolling well. Never a bad thing for him. Like I mentioned, he got a ton of SPP. Got only 1 level up, though. Level up on this blitzer here, which got Mighty Blow, which I think is a good call. Tackle could be argued as well, but I think, or guard, honestly, which, me being the more defensive, conservative player would have gotten guard, but I think Mighty Blow is actually a really good way to go. These blitzers really need to help focus on clearing people out and knocking them down and at least stunning people. And Mighty Blow will help that a lot. So we'll see. It'll also help him get more injuries and more levels, all that fun stuff. But as you can see, his SPP is pretty well spread out here. He's got, 4 people, 5 people, 1 injury away from getting level 2. This catcher is still really close to getting level 3. I mean, this team is on the cusp of getting a lot of levels all at once, so not a bad thing. Hopefully next week goes better for him. He's got 80k right now. Saving up for reroll number 3, I think, is the way to go moving forward from here. He's got 3 catchers at this point. He's up to 13 players. Team value is pretty happy at this point. I would just focus on leveling up these players and then get reroll number 3 to make your life a little bit easier. Alright, let's take a look at the other matches for the week here. Lizards versus Dwarf. This was a nail-biter of a game. The Lizards didn't have a great time first half, but that was with the Dwarf drive. They were able to stall the Dwarves out, so I guess that's good enough, basically. Ended up with 2 levels up here. One on the Crocs, which is fantastic, and one on the Skink. Let's take a look at the game, though. 70k total, which explains all the money here. It's a bashy on bashy match. Not tons of SPP, but still 2 casualties, 1 touchdown, a pass, because the Lizard and Dwarf teams love to pass for some reason. And the MVP sits this team pretty good at, let's see, 4, 5, 10, 13 SPP. Not too bad whatsoever. Orville here sitting at a sad 7. And a death here, which, as you can see, appears to be... looks like a failed GFI from my notes, which failing a GFI into a death is pretty spectacular. We'll take a look at who that was in a second here, but in terms of this team, no permanent injuries once again, so that's fantastic. Level up here, assuming no doubles. I really like getting catch based on the way this team is playing. If you're going to throw this much, you might as well get catch, I guess. It'll help with handoffs anyway. The long chain handoffs definitely makes this team a big threat. Almost more so than like goblins and things like that. And you've got enough pieces to protect your ball moving bits, so in principle, getting sidestep is less of a priority, but still not a bad thing to look at getting. Diving tackle, also not a terrible thing either. It's certainly not something everybody agrees with, but I think it's worthwhile to get. Krogsgore getting level up, great as always. Choices for this one, if he rolls doubles, obviously block, I think, is the key thing. If he doesn't get doubles, which is the more likely outcome, really tough call. Guard is what I would go for, as always, in such a punchy league. Just there's so much 4-strength things in general, it would help out. But arguments could be made for things like stand firm, break tackle, also very convincing argument. Any 3 of those skills I think would be good. Not a lot of choices beyond those, like strong arm isn't going to do too much. Piling on isn't too bad of an option, given that the team is relatively fast, but I don't think it's necessary before you get guard, stand firm, all that fun stuff. So that's what I would think to do. But still, this team's looking pretty good. Needs some more points, obviously, on the Sauruses. He probably knows that even better than I do. This skink here is almost level 2, so it'd be bad to get a level up on that one as well. On the dwarf side of things, Tragic Day, the one that died was the level 2 blocker. God, GFI into a death. Never good. Level up on this Troll Slayer, though. It's the -1 agility, but who cares? I would get Mighty Blow, personally speaking, but that's me, and I am vicious. Not surprised to see pass here, based on what Orville mentioned. If this runner gets level up and rolls doubles, I'm assuming catch will be the name of the game, based on these weird throwing plays that Orville wants to make. But hey, play your team the way you want to play them, I guess. Yeah, I would assume Mighty Blow here. Troll Slayers with Frenzy getting Mighty Blow is always really fantastic. I would not be surprised to see that happen. Losing this blocker really hurts, but hey, he bought the other one the other week, so it should be alright. He can finally get real roll number 3 as well. How much money did he make? 60k, so pretty good here. Yeah, with the 60k he won, he can definitely get reroll number 3, which is certainly what I would do. Save up money for the new players that you may or may not want. I mean, it's dwarves. Like I said, the odds of this happening are so ridiculously low. Like, any death in general is really, really low. It's kind of almost, you don't need to fill out players that much. Could certainly just go ham and get the death roller. That would be the funniest thing to do, but we'll see what he decides to do. Lots of choices on the Troll Slayer, obviously. I think Mighty Blow is the funnier one. Tackle could be alright too. There's just not a ton of dodge in the league at this point. I mean, there's some, but there's not a ton. Speaking of dodge teams, 3-1 victory for Skaven over Mark. This game was recorded, and you can view the tragic hilarity that was Mark's dice. God, it did not go well for Mark. 70k for Chris here. 3-1 victory, as you saw here. Chris getting out-casualing a Khemri team is ridiculous. 3 touchdowns, 3 casualties, 1 pass, and an MVP is a lot of SPP. This is 9, 15, 20, 21 SPP. Not as much as me for this week, but just barely. Mark, on the other hand, did kill somebody, which is pretty great. Got 2 casualties, which is good for Mark based on how he's been rolling so far. 1 touchdown and the MVP. So it's not terrible. It's 12 SPP, which is pretty good for a Bashy team, but it's definitely not what he needs. We'll look at Mark's team in a little more detail here. Fair amount of KOs from just getting punched, it looks like. Same with the casualties. Nothing too bad on the tackles, luckily for Chris. Some good levels up here, in case you didn't see it. +1 strength on this gutter runner is amazing. It's so good for a gutter runner to get +1 strength. 0 complaints possible at that point. Slime looks like he got a level up at some point. Looks like he got block here. This thrower also leveled up and got block. The Storm Vermin leveled up, I'm guessing, from last week, maybe? I don't remember when this happened, since I don't remember when Chris leveled up his guys, but he's got guard in this one now, which I think is a very good choice. And even though he lost Gutter Storm Vermin to the punching power of the Khemri, he bought a new one because he had so much money, although he's at 0 now. But this team doesn't need to buy a lot more players. He's sitting at 12 at this point, which is pretty good. Not a lot to complain about. This team is moving right along. A lot of gutter runners within getting level 2 position, which is great. This gutter runner is almost level 3 and probably pick up block after that, I would assume. But who knows? Chris likes to do funny things. Maybe shadowing is in the future for this gutter runner. Who knows? Shadowing wouldn't be too terrible in this league if he's using gutter runners to mark or just screen people. Could be alright. We'll see what happens. Looking at Mark's team. No, it's not Mark. This is Mark. Looking at Mark's team, did get some levels up here. Got Mighty Blow on this Tomb Guardian, which is good. This Throw Rot still SPP-less, which is a little sad. I think this Skeleton is the one that did the killing. 120k, you can just save it to replace players as needed. Had a couple scares with Tomb Guardians this week. Not a lot to buy. Could get reroll number 4, I guess, but that will have to wait until next week because I think they cost 70 for Khemri. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, 3 times 70. Okay, so yeah, that'd be one way to go. Save it for reroll number 4. This Tomb Guardian is actually almost level 3, which is pretty exciting. At least I think it's exciting. Guard make this team scarier. Just needs to get more SPP than he's been getting. Not a lot you can do about that. Money wise, 30k this week. Oh, that's rough. If he had rolled it even slightly better, would have gotten himself to the 140 he needed to get reroll number 4. But still, slowly but surely, this team is getting scarier. And even though we've only got 3 weeks left in the pre-group stage, still plenty of time to generate more SPP and make this team more of a threat. Like the Lizards, though, he's in a kind of a weird spot where he doesn't have a ton of SPP on a lot of players, just has it clumped up on a few. We'll see what happens, though. All right, let's take a look at last game of the week here, which is between Orcs and Chaos. A very ridiculous game. I will say that the Orcs were much luckier than the Chaos team, just how I'm going to call it. Orcs basically scored on turn 16 thanks to some really ridiculous dodging and picking up the ball in tackle zones. That shouldn't have happened, but hey, sometimes 5 and 6s happen. Blitzer here got a level up. I'm assuming guard will be the name of the game. Doesn't really need to get more hitting power at this point. Yeah, I think this is fine. This team is terrifying with the amount of SPP it's generating. Let's take a look at the winnings. 50k, which is really good. Greydek has been rolling extremely well for the most part, except for this week where it wasn't so good. Overall SPP, 4 casualties is a lot. God, so much. Let's see, so that's 4, 8, 13, 16 SPP is a crazy amount. This is the wrong week. Let's go back to the correct week here. 3 casualties. Okay, never mind. It's not as many then. So 6, 11, 14 SPP. And Andrew, once again, can't get a break. Only 7 SPP this week. Not the best for him. But it's okay. In terms of what this Orc team wants to do with its money, bought thrower number 2. This thrower got kick, which I like. Kick is really good for any team, I think. But really good when the other players have a bunch of level ups as well. So can't complain too much about that. Man, So great. What did she name this one? Blaster Brioso. Awesome. Four factor, 100k. I would just save the money. Could get some more linemen. Maybe save up for the troll though. He only needs 10k more to get the troll. Can get the words out. That's kind of what I would lean towards doing, actually. Let's take a look at Andrew and his long-suffering team. Walked away with 10k. That's, well, it is literally the worst. It is really bad. That's very unfortunate for Andrew, who still is without a win and hasn't managed to roll any kind of fan factor improvement. Although I think he's lost 3. So if he didn't get in the first week, he wouldn't. Some injury SPP getting spread around. This Beastman actually didn't get anything this week, but this Beastman, I'm guessing, picked up an MVP. And yeah, sitting at 10 SCP. I hope Andrew gets ball moving skills at this point. He really, really needs them just to help increase his ability to do anything. He had terrible luck this week picking up the ball. Extra arms would be great. Go sure hands if you want. Whatever. Just some sort of ball moving skill, I think, is the way to go. He could ignore me entirely, though, of course, to get block. Whatever. Go crazy. I don't know. Andrew's team is getting there. He almost has enough money for Minotaur. Actually, Minotaurs are 160, I want to say. 160, 150? Something like that. They cost a lot, essentially, for the Minotaurs. 150. Okay, so in principle, he could, in theory, win it next week. We'll see. Andrew's law. I mentioned before that the Khemri team is kind of in the same boat as Lizards, as they have a lot of SPP on a few players and not a lot everywhere else. This is more exemplified on Andrew's team. He just doesn't have. He's not getting the SPP he needs. I mean, it's chaos. You're gonna have a hard go of the first couple weeks, but we're getting to the point where things really need to start happening for him, and they just aren't, which really sucks. Hopefully next week goes better for him. You never know. Sometimes you can have crazy weeks. I say this as somebody that went from like no level ups to all of them, so we'll see what happens. So pretty good week for everybody. Not too bad here. I think I was mostly accurate with my predictions overall, so hooray for that. Let's take a look what's going to happen next week. First match here, we've got Humans versus Khemri. You know, for Mark's sake, I hope he wins, just because he could really do for getting all the punches that would entail in. Let's take a look at some team value, though. 1130 for Mark, no pending level ups. Looking at Sid here, no pending level ups at 1190, so that means barring any more purchases, which Sid could certainly do. Be looking at giving up a Babe. I believe it's just 50 that. Yeah, 1130 versus the 11. God, I hope I remember this right. 1190. Yes. Okay, so it'd be even away 60. And yeah, there we go. So as for how the match is going to go, realistically, I think Sid has actually a pretty good chance of making it just because he can move the ball so much better. He's got 3 catchers. I'm assuming that his thrower will still do great. He's got a lot of block. That said, there is not a lot Sid can do against the sheer punching power of a Khemri team. We'll see. Hopefully Mark's dice have turned the page. Now that they've tasted blood, they will let things happen for him. So that's the hope. These Tomb Guardians need all the SPP they can get. These Blitz Rods do as well. Skeletons, whatever. Hopefully this thrower can get a couple touchdowns. We'll see. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Mark will be able to pull this off. Mark could really go for a win here. He's gotten 1 so far, and yeah, I think he could get another win here. We'll see. Sid is a wily player. I think that's a good way to describe Sid's play style. He's wily, and certainly I was surprised by a lot of things he did and got away with. Humans are weird like that. We'll see what happens. This team has more ball maneuverability, but their punching is so inferior to the Khemri team. Let's highlight the right week here. Next up, we've got Orc versus Dwarf. Before the guard piece died, I would have said the Dwarves have a pretty good advantage going into this because Troll Slayers are huge. We'll see what this Troll Slayer gets here. Assuming a normal roll, though, and assuming that Orville just buys a reroll, we'll be looking at 1120 for team value here. And if we look at Grey Ducks, ridiculous team. 1230, level up 1250. So giving away 130 at that point. So Orville's going to have maybe another reroll, possibly another Apothecary. 2 Babes actually would probably be the way to go, even though it's pretty hard to KO a Dwarf team with all the thick skull everywhere. I'm not quite sure. Inducements, when you're below Wizards, are kind of weird. Bribe wouldn't be that bad, actually, to let your blockers step on people, but stepping on Orcs is kind of counterproductive given how much armor they have and how slow this team is and how just engaged you need all the players to be. So a fair number of choices here. Could forgo the reroll and get the Wizard, but we'll see. Wizard wouldn't be too bad just because it would let him fireball the cage. That will inevitably happen. We'll see. I think the Orc team has a clear advantage here just because the Orc team has more guard and more strength. Assuming this Blitzer gets guard, of course. But just more guard, more strength. They're about the same speed, honestly. It's really going to come down to how well... well, Kick also. God, Kick is going to be brutal against the Dwarf team. It'll really come down to how much damage the Troll Slayers can get in early on. Because the Troll Slayers are, realistically, without guard, Orville's best chance of dealing with the Black Orcs. And if he can deal with the Black Orcs, the matchup becomes a lot different, just on how much block the Dwarf team has. We'll see. It's not a good matchup based on the lack of guard now, and hinging totally on the Troll Slayers. That said, Mighty Blow on a Troll Slayer would definitely help. We'll see what happens. I mean, his Troll Slayers managed to kill 2 of my players in a row. Maybe Orville's dice will grant him the win here. I think Orcs will take this one, though. Even with the inducement money and Orville finally getting 3 rerolls, I think just the higher strength will be a factor here. Looking at this, we've got Chaos versus me. God, how much money am I giving up this week? Let's see, 1090. Assuming no other purchases from Mr. Andrew, I am giving up... Where am I? Scroll down. 1280. So I'm giving up 190 here. That is technically a Minotaur, actually. You could get a Mercenary Minotaur. More realistically, Wizard. Bribes wouldn't be out of the question. Bribe and a Babe. We'll see. I'm giving up a fair amount of money. Not as much as I gave up to Sid, but still a fair amount of money. I am very squishy, but Andrew doesn't hit that hard just because he only has Claw and presumably some sort of ball-moving skill, whereas I actually have a lot of skills now. These Blitzers are going to be pretty hard for him to deal with because they have Blodge. I've got Wrestle here. I've got Block here. Kick is going to be absolutely fantastic against a team that's relatively slow. I mean, it's going to be relatively hard for me to stop him once he gets the ball, but I think I can still do elf things and score a whole lot. Which is really unfortunate for Andrew because he could really go for some wins here. We'll see what happens. I mean, all this strength is really hard for me to deal with, and Beastmen are really good against 3-strength teams because of horns. Letting them have a 4-strength blitzer from pretty much anywhere, it's very hard to protect against them. But we'll see. I've got a lot of skills, and he doesn't. And the inducement money isn't enough, really, I feel, to counteract that. Let's take a look at the last matchup here, which is Lizards versus Skaven. This should be an interesting match, actually. Chris has got a fair amount of skills now, fair amount of block everywhere. Guard will also help. That said, very, very squishy team versus a very, very strong team. Also, Skaven's a big advantage. Their speed is entirely evaporated against this team. They're not as fast, that's very true, but they don't have to be because they're fast enough to catch you on most cases. Skinks can gang up on Gutter Runners. We'll see. Should be an interesting game, especially if he gets reroll number 3. I'm going to go ahead and say Lizards will have a pretty good time here, but Skaven, as always, are very fast, very mobile. Even though this Lizard team can keep up, I don't think it can keep up quite as well, and he doesn't have the skills necessarily to take out the Gutter Runners very quickly. Especially this 3-strength Gutter Runner. Skink Blitz can't accomplish quite as much when the Gutter Runner has more strength than a Skink. 5 fan factor. I'm going to go ahead and say Chris is going to take the win this week. wouldn't surprise me too much. So quick review, boldly saying Khemri is going to win this. I think Orc will win this one, I think I will win this one, and I think Skaven will win this one. Let's take a look at some of the rankings. These are starting to get a little more important here because we're starting to solidify out into where our pools are going to be. There's a lot of competition in the middle, though. Even basically from second place all the way down to sixth, there's a fair amount of competition. And even then, Mark isn't that many points off of the bottom two, so a lot of competition here. I think it's pretty assumed Grey Duck is going to hold on to first, even if she goes straight losses. I'd have to go straight wins to supplant her, which seems unlikely. Apparently my team value is the highest in the league now. Stupid elf bloat. It was inevitable, I suppose, especially because I'm only buying expensive players and not linemen. Not too much change from this week. Chris moves up a little bit higher. Lizard's holding on to fourth now. Sid slipping down to fifth, although they have the same record as the Lizards. I think it's just more touchdowns given up is the deciding factor here. Hall of Fame time. Most experienced player. I'm surprised no one's higher than 15 after last week, but here we are. Not too surprised to see me with 3 players on here because I have a lot of SPP on my team, and I think this is a thrower. This is Nan the kicker, and this is our agility catcher. So yeah, I have the most people on this list by quite a ways. Anybody else have more than one? No? Okay. Well, I'm dominating the experience chart, apparently. All right, then. Best scoring. Lots of threes going on here. This is kind of weird because a lot of teams only score with like the same couple of people. So, what can you do? 3 players on here for me, which is just the most because I think I have the most touchdowns at this point. 2 weeks of 4 in a row will do that. Yeah, God, everybody else only has one more player on here. All right, that is terrifying. Let's move on to the next one. Best throwing, still me with 5. Holding on. Actually, I got a lot of throwers on here because I pass with a lot of players all the time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players. Next up is Sid's team with 2. This is the thrower on the Skaven team with 4. But I am definitely dominating the throwing charts. Not too surprising because I've got agility 4 on everybody, so it's pretty easy to to keep throwing with everybody. Best interception. Oh, we've got another one. Technically, we have 3 interceptions now, but mine was on a mercenary, didn't count. Congratulations to Sid for making it so the Tomb Guardian wasn't the only one on there. A little sad. Just like last season, it would have been great if only a super strong player had gotten the interception. But hey. With as much passing as happening in this league, interceptions are bound to happen. Injuries. Finally have someone crack 3. With a Dwarf player getting up to 4. I think this is a Troll Slayer. I don't remember, though. Most players on here, Orc Rextra getting 3 players on here. Then Dwarfs. Humans having 2 is pretty crazy. Yeah, that's pretty great. And very sad to have Mark only with 1. Lizards having none on here is also pretty impressive. I think that's just how it's breaking, though, with this player with 1 being selected. Best running, I got pushed way down, which I'm pretty happy about since I should not be near the top of the running chart. Still actually pretty close here. Jimbo is 24 yards above I, so that's pretty funny. Yeah, Dwarf with a lot of running, Cameron with a lot of running, and because this is the only person that's gotten touchdowns from Mark. And then Lizards with a ton of running, as it should be. Ichthy and Soar. Pretty great. Yeah, so that is running. Best throwing, me at the top with Jimbo chucking a whole lot of distance, and then Sid right behind me throwing pretty far as well with his thrower. Really weird to have 2 Dwarf players and 3 Lizard players on here, gotta say. Excuse me. That's just weird. Survivor, as always, means nothing. And I really wish this was like inverted, so it was fewest number of games played, or I don't know, that just fired players, dead players. That'd be interesting to me. Survivor is like not relevant at all in any way, shape, or form. Best killing, we're up to still at 3 here. No big changes. Oh no, this is new. This is an entry from our Khemri friends. Mark got a kill, so there we go. Monstroso doing it to it. Best receiver. Sid's catcher is beating me by just a little bit here, but I'm on here a lot more with 4 players because I catch all the time with a lot of different people. Again, really weird to see dwarf and lizard players on here at all. I mean, it makes sense that the Skaven team with the thrower would do this. It makes sense with the human team to be on here a couple times. It makes sense for the elf team to be on here, especially a regular elf team. Just really weird. It's a weird league, I gotta say. So that was week 4. Pretty excited for week 5, and then should we go on from there? A quick programming note, I guess, is that this week might be a little bit longish with the holiday. We'll see what happens when this will get done. Maybe we'll get done on time. Maybe it won't. It'll be fine. We're going to be a little flexible the next couple weeks as we move through the rest of the year, but we'll see what happens. Just 3 more weeks of the pre-group stage, and then we start moving to when it really matters, who wins and who loses, as opposed to how much SPP did you generate this week. Thanks for watching, everybody. My name's Thomas. I'll see you guys later.